And so I had to come to a kind of a question of, do I take a bet on myself by going and starting this assisted living business out in Arizona? Or do I continue down this path that's safe, that's secure? And I said, you know what, worst case scenario, if I take this risk on myself for 6 years, I'll give it my all, everything I have. I could always go back. I'll still be young enough to go back to school. So I went and took that chance, and I said, all right, I'm gonna take this bet on myself, and that's what I did.
You try to find a property that was already operating this way. Like, it takes a lot of money to convert these and do the work to them.
So what I've come to find in my experience to expedite the process is to just find stuff that was previously existing.
Okay.
And so I've not ever had to go purchase anything and restart
And convert it. Because it could be very expensive.
It can be very expensive.
So you're saying for your average assisted living, single family residence, 5-bedroom, 10-bed, you can make how much in cash flow a month?
So I'll help you with that real quick. So it's...
In life, there's a blueprint for everything. There's no need to start over. Hear from industry leaders, those at the top of their fitness journey, and real estate gurus. They tell you exactly how they did it. All you have to do is listen, learn, and execute. This is The Blueprint with Brad Rice.
All right, y'all, we're back. Another edition of The Blueprint. Today, I've got a special guest for you. Serg Lupescu is joining us today on set. And he's in from Arizona. He's making his way around, doing some different podcasts. You guys are in for a special treat today because we're going to talk about something very specific in real estate. It's about assisted living facilities. So, look, Serg is the managing partner at a company called Valley A.L.F Ventures, and that stands for Assisted Living Facilities.
Yes, sir.
Ventures, where he oversees over $20 million of assets under management, and it's all in the assisted living and behavioral health industry. He has successfully raised over $3 million of investor capital, has a YouTube channel with over 30,000 subscribers, and he's been running that since 2018. We'll talk a bit about that. He also has a big Facebook community with over 7,000 members, and he teaches others to do what he's doing through his academy. He has an impressive story, and he started this all when he was just 22 years old, which is impressive. So we're going to talk about how he became an entrepreneur and his kind of rise to success and how you could do the same thing. He's got the blueprint for it, and he's going to share it. So welcome, Serg.
Dude, I got to say, man, what a welcoming environment, team, staff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on the road. I'm like, coffee. I was like, I love it.
Absolutely.
We got great people.
That's
here,
how
man.
we do it here, right?
I love it.
Yeah. So you got your famous blueprint mug that had your name on it.
Start selling these, dude.
Yeah. And I told you, I said, yeah, we had 1,000 of those printed up with the name Serg on it. We're still looking for more Serges to come on the pod.
I'll just start handing them out, dude. It's a good way to promote the podcast.
That's right. So, hey, man, look, we got a lot to cover today. And we started talking off camera, and I said, wait, we got to put a pause on this because this is good stuff. So you started early on when you were 22. So I kind of want to hear about how you went from a 22-year-old getting into your first deal and how that first deal happened, and then how now you are managing over $20 million of assets, 16 facilities, is that right?
17, yeah.
17 now, so 16 since I last saw. And so they must have more than 227 beds now, too.
I think we're at 255.
255.
We're closing on our 17th, I guess, deal right now on Friday.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week.
So let's talk about the journey of a 22-year-old getting into assisted living facilities, growing it to more than $20 million in assets and 17 properties.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Man, it's been a journey, to say the least. But I graduated nursing school in 2018 or 2017. And in 2018, I moved to Arizona. And my whole determination and goal was to start a small little assisted living facility. Because of my background with my nursing major, the whole taking care of clients and residents and patient care, bedside nursing, all of that was very natural for me.
Okay,
I had no problem with that.
So just understanding that, so you're studying to become a nurse. Is that like a specialty in that?
It's not required.
It's not, okay.
It just was something natural for me to be like, I have the confidence to just go start an assisted living home.
Okay.
All these homes are considered non-medical. So you're not doing anything invasive. You're not doing it. But you're doing a lot of the resident care, such as, changing the pens and, cleaning them up and all the caregiving
Were
stuff.
you doing that yourself?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I was already doing it.
Okay.
I started out, got my CNA certification at 18, worked in a nursing home. From there, I transitioned into an ICU because I wanted to go become a CRNA. And so I was like working myself up, right? I started in the ICU as a CNA, went through nursing school, was getting all the right credentials and everything I needed to be able to get accepted into CRNA school.
Okay. So when you say you were working at an assisted living facility, was this like a big hotel style one or okay?
Yeah, it was a big nursing facility. So they had a rehab wing. They had, your long-term care wing.
Yep.
So it was a very large
Did you get exposure like to all those different parts of it, including like memory care?
Yes.
Okay.
So every shift would be working in a different wing,
Okay.
in the rehab, memory care, and then the assisted.
So that's really where you cut your teeth is like getting, when you said changing depends.
Yeah.
By the way, let's pause there for just a minute. Like, tell us about your messiest cleanup job you had to handle.
Oh, dude, don't even start me there. The ICU was the worst, man. I'm talking.
I know one's jumping out in your mind. Like,
So my
what
least
was
favorite
the worst
thing-
cleanup
yeah.
you had of some elderly?
So like
explosion.
I can deal with a lot of things, but just not vomit. Vomit is one that anytime there's so a lot of times in the ICU, right, you'd have people that are intubated with tubes down their throat and, they're typically really heavily medicated. So they don't know what's going on half the time. So they're just soiling themselves, throwing up.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I've had people just at the same time be soiled and vomit. And, they can't control it a lot of times.
Not their fault.
So I would say that combination of both, where it's like they're soiled, but they just vomited because their stomach hurts and like they just ate something that they shouldn't have, or they just got the tube taken out of their mouth. So it's a whole cleanup job.
Overcome the smell of that?
Dude, just like anything in business, you just power through it.
Like you're breathing that in.
You have a mask and you spray the mask. Like what we would do is spray the mask with like air freshener or something.
Okay.
And we put it on to hopefully mask as much of that smell as possible, and then you just go in. And
So that mask, does it prevent the particles from going into your?
I mean, yeah, you had the different types of masks you could wear, but not really, man. I mean,
really.
it's just
Because I got to be honest with you, man.
It's not for everybody. I'll tell you that much.
We're in a building where we share. The bathrooms are really nice here.
Yeah.
You haven't experienced that yet. You can, and they're nice, right, Micah? They're nice. But man, sometimes you go in and you're like, what the who? Like, how do you have something that bad inside of you? And I'll go in and I'll turn around, walk out, and I'm like, okay, I can wait. But you start to breathe this stuff and you think, this is going into my body.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to breathe this. So I can't even imagine if you're dealing with that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like I guess the mask helps, but
man, it taught me a lot of grit. Taught me a lot of just like, you know what? And my parents used to own a turkey farm. We used to service Cargill. So imagine that. I mean, we're in manure all day.
Yeah.
And I think that just helped prepare me for when I got in the hospital. But yeah, we used to live on a farm out in Missouri. So that's where I was raised majority of my life.
Yeah, but that turkey poop probably isn't as bad as
Oh,
human.
dude, it's pretty bad.
Is it?
It's all bad.
Okay.
Honestly. I don't think there's even a common. It's just they all smell different, but they're all bad.
Okay. All right.
So that helped me prepare, right?
Sure.
And I was like, okay. And while I was working in the hospital, what I came to learn was, you know what? A lot of these people are not really that happy with the way their lives turned out.
Yeah.
And what it really gave me was a insight into my future if I continued down this path. So as I was working, I would work night shift, weekend option.
Were you having conversations with them that
All
led
of
you to
them.
this? Okay.
I was doing night shift. So, there's a dead time between like 1 and like 4 in the morning.
And they don't have
Everybody's
visitors.
just chilling.
Yep.
There's no visitors. It's not crazy unless there's someone coding or something wild like that. But,
Yeah.
you'd have a lot of nights where it was just everybody's hanging out and talking. So, yeah, I would have a lot of conversations with nurses that were 20, 30 years older than me. And I would just ask them, are you guys happy with how life is? Are you guys happy with this career you've chosen? And then I'd have CRNAs that would come in and they would intubate and do other things. So I got to talk with them too while they're intubating and doing certain procedures. And I would ask them, do you guys enjoy your life, like your career? Do you guys enjoy your... And dude, a lot of them would say no.
It's a pretty unusual thing to be asking people as a young, 20-year-old or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty insightful.
So it really made me think about, do I really want to pursue this? And so I had to come to a kind of a question of saying, do I take a bet on myself by going and starting this assisted living business out in Arizona? Or do I continue down this path that's safe, that's secure? Because I did have a job lined up right after nursing school in the ICU. I was already working. That was all lined up. Pay was literally double of what I was being paid as a CNA. So it was that like instant, wow, I can spend more. I can, enjoy life a little more. Yeah. Or do I just, again, do I continue down this path of becoming a CRNA? And that's another 6 years of school, another 6 years of, taking on student debt, so on and so forth. And I said, you know what, worst case scenario, if I take this risk on myself for 6 years, I'll give it my all, everything I have. That if it doesn't turn out the way I hoped, I could always go back. I'll still be young enough to go back to school. Yeah, I might have to do a bunch of refresher courses and all this stuff, but I could still go back and do that. So I went and took that chance, and I said, all right, I'm gonna take this bet on myself, and that's what I did.
And you were still single at the time?
Yes.
So that was a little bit easier decision.
It
right?
was, yes. Yep. No obligations, no kids, none of that. And I moved out with little to no knowledge of where I was gonna start or how I was gonna do it. And I leased my very first little home. It was a little 4-bedroom.
Where was that at?
Mesa, Arizona.
Okay.
And
so you moved away from the family farm.
Moved away from everybody.
Okay.
From the family farm, from all my family back in Missouri, came out here by myself. And I just got to work.
Why Mesa, Arizona?
The property that was offered up just happened to be there in Mesa, Arizona. I did no due diligence whatsoever.
Okay, so you're saying you bought a house.
No, I leased it.
You leased it.
Initially, yes.
Okay, but this was the property that you started your assisted
living.
So tell me about that process. So you moved out from your family house with the idea that you wanted to get into this business of having facilities for assisted living. You'd worked in there, but had you worked at a residential assisted? Okay, but you knew it existed. How much did you know about that as a business?
My advice for someone selling their home: number 1, do it yourself and save. Number 2, use HomePie.
HomePie makes it easy to buy or sell without an agent. I can list a home in minutes and start receiving offers right away from buyers.
When we discovered that we didn't have to lose $40,000 in agent commission just to upsize to a larger home, it was an obvious choice.
List your home for free at homepie.com. Keep your piece of the pie.
Brad, when I tell you very little, I'm telling you I knew even less than little.
Okay.
I didn't even do any market research. I didn't look into the demographics. I didn't do anything anybody normally would when they go start a business. I didn't even have a business plan, which is crazy but to me, what happened was the property came up and it was available. It was previously licensed as an assisted living.
Okay.
The landlord was a nurse.
Okay.
So she knew the business. She knew, she loved the fact that I was a nurse. It just clicked right away.
Yeah.
I was like, perfect. This is going to work.
But you rented the whole house?
I rented the whole house.
With a lease that would allow you to run assisted
Correct.
living there? Interesting.
Because she knew. She was like, if you're going to run the business, I was running the business out of here. I'm just not going to do it anymore. You could go ahead and lease the property.
So it was empty at the time?
Correct. It was
okay.
vacant.
Got it.
Needed to be completely relicensed, rezoned, everything under my entity name.
Yep. Got it.
So that's why I took it. I didn't take it for any other reason than the fact that
So were you
it was
looking in
available.
all sorts of different areas, but that one just popped up in Arizona?
Yeah, pretty much. I was
Okay.
kind of just seeing what was on the market.
So let's go to how you found that, because what do you search for online to find a vacant home that was approved for assisted living?
Yeah. So what had happened was when I moved out, my mom knew of this lady who ultimately somewhat consulted me, but this story gets crazy. So my mom's like, listen, she's going to help you. Listen to everything she tells you. I know her. I used to know her from back when we used to live out here in California. Just she'll take care of us. And I'm like, sure. Okay, Mom, I'm trusting you. This is someone you know. She brought the home. She said, hey, I know of this person that's leasing this home out in Mesa. Would you want to go take a tour, look at it? And I said, sure, let's go take a look at it. I wasn't really looking at anything on the market. She just so happened to know this person. And that's how I was introduced to the home.
That makes sense.
So I was like, yeah, it was somewhat of a new build. I think it was only like 1 or 2 years old. And I was like, great. It's got great bones, whatever.
Yep.
And I was sure. How much is the lease? $2,200 or $2,800 a month. I was like, great, I can make that happen.
Okay.
So we signed the lease.
When you say great, I can make that happen, you mean you could afford it, or you could make a business to make that happen?
I knew I could afford it, but then I knew that because it was previously licensed, I was like, sure.
So you saved up some money. You had some reserves.
Yes, I had some reserves.
Okay.
Yes, like 30,000 in reserves to start with.
Okay, you knew you had ramp up time.
Yeah, but this is what happens. She goes, all right, well, now that you've signed the lease, let's go ahead. We'll go find a place to furnish the home. You go buy your furniture, which I spent like $3,000-$4,000 in furniture. I bought very basic stuff, nightstands, whatever, furnish the house.
Yeah.
And then she goes, okay, well, now you need to pay me to do all your documentation and paperwork for licensing.
Yeah.
But we're not going to license it as an assisted living home. We'll license it as a behavioral home. I'm like, well, I don't know anything about that. I barely even know what to do with assisted living. I don't know the process for behavioral. Don't worry, trust me, she says.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, sure. She goes, but before I help you, you have to pay me. Sure, okay, I'm going to pay you a consulting fee. How much is that? She's like, well, initially it's going to cost you 10 grand. And then during the process, once we submit everything, you pay me another 10 grand. All right, fair enough. Sure. I don't know anything. I'm hiring you. I pay and she goes, I need it all up front though, because you're so new. I'm going to have to do so much work. So I pay her 20 grand up front of this consulting fee. Lo and behold, everything she provided was not in compliance, would not allow me to license a home. So she scammed me $20,000 off the bat. That's my first 3 months in business.
Wow.
Right off the bat. Only benefit that came out of that situation was the home itself.
Okay.
So I had already spent $5,000 or whatever, a few $1,000s on the furnishings. I'm like down to my last few $1,000s
Sure.
at this point.
Yeah, you do the math, $2,800 a month for a lease, $20,000 for consulting fees, furnishings.
I'm down
You've got
to
like 2.5, 3 months of payments and reserves.
If that.
Yeah.
And I remember month 3, there was a lot of crazy stuff that happened between when I met her to when I finally cut off ties. What had happened was she made me bring some clients in that were considered sober living. These were people just straight off the streets, were going through a really rough patch in their lives, had no IDs, none of that. It was considered sober living.
Okay.
And she goes, continue doing this until we apply for licensing, which that never happened. And so a couple of situations happened with those clients that were in the home under the sober living title, because at the time that wasn't regulated in Arizona. DHS, Department of Health Services, the state shows up. So our surveyor shows up. And the reason why she showed up was my landlord never closed her license under her assisted living license on the home. Mm-hmm. And because there was an active license there,
they do regular inspections.
They do regular inspections, but the fire department had showed up 2 times in 1 week because of the sober living clients. I had a guy fall, and then I had another dude had to be transported to the hospital because he had such severe pneumonia when he showed up that I just sent him straight to the hospital. Mm-hmm. So the fire department reported these situations to Department of Health Services.
Yep.
And so they showed up doing a compliance check.
Yep.
It wasn't like an annual survey. It was just a compliance check on these complaints. When she walked in, she's like, yeah, let's go ahead, step in the backyard. We'll go through this file, go through these complaints. I'll check all your paperwork. I was like, oh my goodness, this is not supposed to be happening. I don't even have a license yet. Mm-hmm. I totally forgot that the landlord had that previous license active still. And I was like wondering why they were even there. And she's sitting there and she's like, yeah, can you go ahead and go get these documents? And she requested some documents that I had no idea what she was talking about. So I go and get my LLC entity paperwork, Brad. I kid you not. And I come bring up to her and she's like, what are these? And I was like, my LLC paperwork. This is what I have. And she just closed the file and she just looked at me and she said, Serge, she's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I just said, well, technically I'm running a sober living. And she's like, that's illegal. You can't be doing that and servicing these types of clients under an active assisted living license. She's like, I forgot what the fine was. It was like $1,000 per day that you were operating with these types of clients.
Yeah.
So it was, and I was operating for 3 months at that point with these people under this license. And she goes, technically I could blacklist you right now from the industry and also submit to have you, the landlord would be fined all that money because it was under her license.
Yep.
But she's like, I see what's going on here. You were clearly scammed and misguided
Yep.
She's like, come down to our downtown offices. And then so we got that all situated.
Yep.
And then I ended up licensing that home in like a month.
Okay. After that,
Officially.
after she helped you through the process.
Yes.
Okay. So the lesson learned there is go to the authorities directly and
Yeah, I would say like go to your state regulatory board first. But also like who you're hiring as your mentor to guide you properly, like do
Vet
your due
them.
diligence on them and vet them. I didn't even know to do that, right?
yeah.
I was
well,
just,
you were trusting your mom.
yeah. And so like, again, I'm 22 years old, naive as can be,
Yeah.
super gullible and green behind the ears, thinking everybody's got my best interest at heart, all that stuff.
Okay. So now that was a big lesson you learned. That was your
Huge.
first deal, right? You're 22 years old.
That's my
and you're like,
intro
okay,
to
here you
business
go.
world.
At the same time, you're living there.
Yeah.
Which has got to be the strangest thing to be living in a house with, transients, let's call them, or maybe they're not, but kind of.
Yeah.
And they all have weird personalities and, what was
It
it,
was
5
scary.
beds?
It was scary. Dude, I stacked them.
Okay,
I
so
had
it was double
two
that.
people. Yeah, I had 2 people in each room. So
Okay.
8 people.
And then you had your own room.
No.
You didn't even
I
have
was
your own
sleeping
room.
on like a Amazon
Oh my gosh.
foldable. Dude, it was scary.
That's wild.
I would sleep with like one eye open, one eye closed.
I bet.
With those
I bet.
people.
And you were doing it yourself. There was nobody else there helping you. You didn't pay anybody else to help you.
Yeah.
Doing all the cleanup, doing
Those people were fairly independent. They weren't
Okay.
like seniors like what we would think. Once
But
I
they
officially
probably
got
didn't clean up after themselves, though.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, I was cleaning the bathrooms and common area spaces
Yep.
as much as possible. The rooms, I would
Yeah.
tidy them up as they would like leave and stuff.
Now, for behavioral health or sober living, you don't have the same property guidelines that you have for assisted living, right? So like ramps and the doorways and the hallways and
You do
different
to an
things.
extent.
Okay.
You do to an extent. It's just not as like ADA accessible.
Okay.
Right, so you're not needing like full roll-in showers and like grab bars. They actually tell you not to put grab bars because they harm themselves,
Okay.
things like that. But
Okay.
it's not nearly as like cumbersome.
All right.
As
Got it. Are you
assisted
still doing sober living stuff or all
Not
assisted
sober living. It's mainly behavioral health, like legit behavioral health. So like these are people with like substance use disorders, things
Yep.
like that.
Okay.
And then assisted living as well.
But
like,
you keep those facilities separate. One does one. Okay, got it.
yeah,
Because it's
yeah,
different
you don't
licensing.
yeah, it's different licensing, different clientele.
Okay. So let's go to kind of the whole process because now you've done this, you've acquired numerous properties and different types, single families that are converted to assisted living or started out that way, and then you've got commercial property, right? Those are the 2 types. So let's focus real quick on the. I would imagine that somebody getting into the business for the first time probably starts with residential, right? Single family. So how do you go about finding a property? Do you try to find a property that was already operating this way and the house is set up for it? Or do you just find a property that you can do, like it takes a lot of money to convert these and do the work to them? What's the best process?
So in my experience, everything I've done is I found stuff that was already used or previously used.
Okay.
So like even in my very first 5-bed, right? That one was previously already zoned and used. Not like I needed to go do much with zoning.
Right.
They're already familiar with the property.
Yep.
They've already, so it was just a matter of doing a change.
Yeah, or upgrades if things had
yeah.
changed regulatory wise.
So what I've come to find in my experience to expedite the process is to just find stuff that was previously existing.
Okay.
And so I've not ever had to go purchase anything and restart
And convert it.
Convert it.
Because it could be very expensive.
It can be very
Yeah.
expensive. And oftentimes there's zoning regulations that come with that.
Right.
Where like in the state of Arizona, one of the main things is it's a city jurisdiction thing where there's a spacing requirement between each facility. So
They don't want them in every neighborhood, like 3 of them in one neighborhood.
correct.
Got it.
So like they'll make it either 1,300 square feet or 1,200 square feet distance requirement.
Okay.
If it's within that square, like that distance, they'll likely require that
So
you,
you're talking they do a circumference around,
1,200
Okay.
square feet
Got
in
it.
every direction.
well, it's probably more than 1,200, I would imagine, right? Because that's
No, it's 1,200
it's literally, okay, so that could be still,
It's
you
not
can have in
anything
one
crazy.
neighborhood, you could have
Yeah.
multiples.
Yeah,
But they're not going to be next to each other.
correct. They're not
Okay.
going to be like next door. We do have a facility that they're literally next door, but that got
They allowed it.
grandfathered in.
Okay.
And that was one that we purchased that was previously already active.
So what's interesting about this, and what I really want to ask about before we move on, is I actually, there was a property, I wish I knew you back at the time, it was a couple of years ago, there was a property here locally in Simi that was set up as assisted living. The place was a pigsty. It was a mess. I mean, it was really a mess, but it had the ramps, and I honestly don't know how it got approved. And it was a licensed facility, but the house was old, and some of the doorways were not even like ADA, like they were super skinny. I really don't know how it got that way, but it was an approved facility. I went to look at it to acquire it and put an ADU or two on it, and I got outbid on the property, but I didn't even analyze it that way to run it as assisted living. I analyze it as, okay, I'm going to have to take out these ramps, and I'm going to have to do all this work to it, and so forth. And so my offer, took all that cash into consideration. But maybe it would have been a good buy as assisted living. So if you're looking at something like this and you find something that was previously that way, if you don't come from that field, if you're not a nurse, if you're not you don't understand this stuff, obviously you have to hire somebody for this to run it, right? Mm-hmm. You can go through the licensing and that sort of thing. You can learn how to do that. But at the end of the day, somebody's got to be at that property round the clock, right? Yeah. And for somebody buying their first place, that's a big, scary place to be, because what happens if that person doesn't show up?
Yeah.
I'd say if you're considering joining the AmeriFund team, it's a really good idea.
We as processors at AmeriFund Home Loans support the loan officers in every aspect of the loan once it comes into processing, because we want them out there marketing themselves and originating more loans and supporting more borrowers.
Competitive commission plans are a given, and powerful technology is expected, but what truly sets us apart is our culture. We've built a solid support system for our loan officers. If you're interested in joining the AmeriFund team, go to amerifund.com/careers.
So what you're going to typically see in most of these residential facilities is they're going to have a manager or an administrator. So I'm going to speak to California because obviously this is where you're at and where a lot of people like to start a lot of these types of facilities. So out here it's called a residential care facility for the elderly. So RCFE is what it's called. In Arizona, they're called residential assisted living. All the same thing. And then out here they have adult residential facilities. And so what you'll typically see is an administrator who's essentially your manager. So out here they're called your administrator. And then below them, they're going to have their caregivers or their CNAs. Okay. California is a little more lax on what their certifications are required for CNAs and caregivers. In Arizona, a caregiver certification is the specific certification they need to have in order to be a caregiver. What you'll also see is you'll have an assistant administrator and assistant caregivers. These are people who just typically need to have their fingerprint clearance cards, their background checks, first aid CPR, TB tests, things like that, but they don't need to go have extra certifications. Okay. So that's what you'll typically see. So what you'll notice is most facilities will have anywhere from 4 to 6 caregivers on staff, probably a mixture of actual caregivers and then assistants. And then you'll also see the administrator. So you do have quite a bit of staff. It's not like it's just one.
Are you paying these people? How does that work? So if you got 4 or 5 people, different roles, they're not all there at the same time. So you're just paying them the hours that they spend at the property?
Correct. So you'll typically have your manager is going to be on a salary. They'll probably come work anywhere from 20 to 40 hours a week, depending on what's needed at the facility. If there's got to be tours, discharges, things like that. And then you'll have your caregivers. Those are the 2 roles mainly in these facilities. And then your caregivers are the ones that are working, the 12-hour shifts. And you typically will have 2 caregivers on day shifts and then 1 caregiver at night.
So do they use a bedroom?
You can have live-ins. That is a very common thing, especially on the smaller facilities. You can have live-ins. I did that in the beginning, but now I typically just do 12-hour shifts.
Okay. Got it. So they show up and they'll have the living room area they can be in or whatever, but they're not taking up a bed.
Correct.
Or a bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you'll see other facilities, they'll create kind of like a caregiver quarters or use the garage and maybe convert that into a space and put a mini split. And then they'll just board, drywall it out and frame it.
Yep. Which you can get away with pretty easily, even as an ADU, as a junior ADU. All right. So have you had a time where you didn't have anybody show up, where you had 3 deep, but then nobody showed up and then you had to go in and...
In the beginning, yes. That's where I really cut my teeth in this business, is where my first 4 years, all I did was run my 5-bed.
Yeah.
That's all I did. I didn't try to go scale. I didn't try, because I realized my first 2 years were just a nightmare. I was like, oh my gosh, like I just have problem after problem. I need to really figure this out. So that's where I didn't go and try to scale right off the bat. I know it sounds crazy to hear like 17 facilities. That didn't happen until after my 4th year in the business.
Okay.
And then once I really had the blueprint and like the foundation set.
Yep.
There you go. And that's where I really like, okay, who do I want to have as staff? How am I going to hire? What does that process look like? And refining each of those steps. And then even for my managers, right? And then what does that look like for them to have upward momentum in the business as well? And so I always hire with the intention of always moving them up in different, better roles.
Yeah.
It's not like they're just going to start as an assistant caregiver and not ever be a manager or even beyond.
So now
that.
you've had people with you for a long time. Do you try to get the facilities near each other so they're operating in multiple facilities?
All my stuff's in Arizona.
Yeah.
I have some stuff down in Tucson and then in Phoenix.
So do you have then employees that will go to multiple facilities?
Yeah.
Okay.
Economies
that
of
helps.
scale.
Yeah, for sure. How long does it take to get a residential property approved and licensed so you can operate?
How long do you think it takes, Brad? Just take a guess.
I would guess 3 to 6 months.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's literally the average. I've done it quicker, but you get better at it as you get one home up and going and license it. But the average is typically 3 to 6 months.
And now when you visit property, you know what to look for if something's out of compliance. So you're getting that done up front instead of then coming, checking it, and then you got to fix it and they got to come back.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Yeah. And I would say in most cases, like I said, a lot of the stuff that I've purchased now is all stuff that was like previously used as an assisted living. So like the conversions for the most part, the additions, a lot of that stuff has been already done.
And there's somewhere you can check for that licensing and make sure it's still compliant and all that?
A lot of the ones that end up being the stress and don't have a license, but the zoning is still there, depending on the city jurisdiction, like City of Phoenix, they require every year that you notify them that your license is still active. They'll reach out, but they'll typically want you to make sure you're still actively operating. If you're not, what they do is they'll remove the zoning to allow for other people to zone a property that's nearby.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the zoning only stays active if you're operating.
Yep. I would imagine that now you've got better ways to bird dog these properties and find them, right?
Yes.
How is that?
It's been, one thing about social media and having a platform and being like people really knowing who you are. I just get opportunities sent to me off market. Serg, I have this facility that I'm looking to sell, or hey, I have this one that I want to lease up that's already converted.
So you're not necessarily searching for these online. People
not as much as I used
to. Real estate agents know you're in the business for it. They come across a listing and they know you're a potential buyer.
Yeah. Okay. Or they know I know somebody, right? They want to tap into my network of operators, of
because
investors.
You've now got these students. Okay.
Yeah. And so that's really helped a lot with the whole like social media thing and really building. And it's crazy, Brad, because when in 2018, when I started the YouTube channel, it was not to like, I don't know, gain notoriety or build a personal brand as we call it now.
Yeah.
It was me just documenting my process.
Sure.
And then that slowly became a personal brand, and then that slowly became stuff later on, which I'm really happy I did.
Yeah.
And now looking back, I'm like, wow, had I not probably done that, who knows what doors would have never opened up.
That's right.
And so now, I got agents, investors who are just like, hey, dude, I'm helping one of my investors right now. He bought a home in Scottsdale in a certain area, a neighborhood that was previously converted. It was old. It was bank owned for 3 years. It just sat there vacant.
Okay.
And so he purchased it, and now he's like, I want to gut this whole thing and have an operator come in and lease this place for me. Do you have any operator? Can you help me with the floor plan?
So you help with the network of operators too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have
that makes it a lot less scary for these people starting than it was for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of different avenues that you can go, whether that's the lease to operator model, whether that's, the operator that's wanting to buy something
Yeah.
and convert it themselves or lease from an investor. Because the reality is to lease from any landlord, these types of properties, not just any landlord's going to let you do it.
Yeah, that's right.
And because of not only because they always get scared of the liability,
Mm-hmm.
which in most cases, all operators will have their own
proper
general
insurance.
liability insurance with them as additional insured. So a lot of landlords just get scared of that, but
Yep.
then also the money that it costs to convert something.
That's
right?
where it becomes prohibitive,
Yeah.
which is why I lost out on this offer because I had to offer such a low price to convert it back to a regular.
Yeah.
So I get that. How are you financing these purchases now?
Commercial financing.
Okay, for both the residential properties and the
commercial.
Okay. Got it.
No, I mean, every residential lender I've spoken to, DSCR products, none of them want to touch it.
Yeah, it's a specialty product for sure.
It is. And
Yeah.
so commercial financing has been everything I've done up to this point.
Did you do anything with SBA?
No.
Okay.
I do not like SBA one bit.
Did you try?
Yes.
Okay.
I tried when I was trying to scale back in 2021.
What didn't you like about it?
You know, the process itself is just like any residential process times 10. I feel like it's like, yeah, you provide all these documents, you need to provide all these projections, you need to provide all this stuff, right? And on top of that, it's all based on your credibility too. And then just it takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months to close anything. And in most cases, right, if you put an offer, most sellers don't want to wait.
Yeah, they're
3
not
to
going to
6
wait
months.
that long.
So if you're contingent on you getting your financing from SBA to close up a deal,
Yeah.
most sellers are not going to bite for that.
So we're August 2025 right now. Give me an idea. When was the last purchase that you did, and what size was the facility?
It's the one I'm closing right now, Brad, on Friday.
Okay. So what
and
size
this
is
one
that?
is 35 beds.
Okay, so it's a commercial location.
Commercial location, yep.
And what's the financing like on that one?
65% LTV with commercial financing.
Okay.
We got seller financing for an additional, what is that, like 10%
Okay.
of the purchase price.
So you got 25%
350K.
down.
Yep.
What's the size of that purchase?
3.185
Okay.
million.
And this is where
This
is
is
this
a
the first
turnkey.
deal that you've syndicated and raised money for?
My first deal that I syndicated was in 2021.
Okay. So is this a fund that you have open that's helping you with the
No,
the
we're
rest-
still doing 506Bs
Okay.
for a lot of our syndications.
Explain what that is.
The 506B is unaccredited investors,
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of family friends, minimum 50,000 investment. 506Cs, right, is with your accredited investors where you can market it out to the public. Whereas the 506B, that's kind of the downside. I can't just go on my YouTube channel and say,
Right.
hey guys, I
Yep.
got this deal. So we've built quite the investor list. Through
So are you raising a specific amount of money for each
each deal.
deal? You didn't have a fund to put together.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
We've thought about the closed fund, which we've been entertaining that. It's just the cost of it, right?
Yeah.
If it makes sense.
Yeah, maintaining it.
And maintaining it, correct. And so up until this point, we've syndicated each deal individually.
Got
Not
it.
every single one, but a lot of them.
And what do you offer your investors?
We've offered anywhere from 11% preferred return to 7% preferred return. Right now, this one that we're closing on Friday, this one's a 7% preferred return. Hold period anywhere from 3 to 5 on the smaller deals. On the larger deals, 5 to 7. And then we do quarterly distributions, and then typically try to target 10 to 12%.
And what are the distributions? How are those divided?
It's based. So what we'd like to do is typically we set up a lease, and so the investors all invest in the real estate portion and not ever the business.
Got it.
So we keep it
Okay,
clean.
so they're getting a distribution on a fixed amount for a lease over that period of time.
Yep.
And then the upside and the back end when you exit?
Is the sell. And when we exit or refinance, depending on how well we buy it. And so like this one, we bought it from a distressed operator.
Yeah.
So we got it way below replacement cost and appraised value.
Yep.
So it got appraised at like 3.7. We're buying it for 3.185, and that was just the real estate portion. And then the operations was appraised at 400K, and essentially you're buying it for like 75K. It's kind of
That's great. So what's the projected exit return for those investors?
Typically, it's anywhere from 20 to 22% IRR.
Total IRR.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So
And
we-
that over 7 years?
Yeah, over
Yeah.
5 to 7 years. Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's very good.
We did our full cycle. I think on our was it April? On our think it was our third deal that we ever did.
Okay.
So we went full cycle on that one in April.
That's your first one
that we went full cycle on.
That you exited out of.
Yep.
Did you sell it or refinance it?
Sell it.
Okay. Interesting.
And we got full asking on that one.
Right on.
And that one was a off-market, unsolicited offer.
Okay. So there's buyers out there for it. Are these large
This was a 1031
conglomerates?
buyer.
Okay.
What we're seeing right now is a lot of 1031 buyers and cash buyers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are those individuals? Are they families? Are
Typically individuals.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any big, conglomerates that are out there acquiring these across the nation?
There are.
Name a couple.
Brandon Turner's Open Capital Fund.
Okay.
They're looking
for these.
Yes.
So you have some backstop for that you can drop these on their laps if you needed to quicker.
Yeah, and then we have another fund out of Scottsdale. They got a $10 million fund.
Okay.
They're looking to do a lot of residential assisted
Interesting.
livings. So we're seeing some big money come into the space right now.
It seems like you got, there's a lot of activity there. You're not, some of these businesses, it's tough because you get in, there's just not some depth there to sell to or, to exit with. But it sounds like you've got options.
Brad, it's crazy to me. I talked to one of my friends. He runs a lot of really high-end luxury communities. Mm-hmm. So these bigger box, I wouldn't even say bigger box, anywhere from 50 to 150 beds.
Okay.
Bigger boxes,
but hper end, more expensive, way more expensive, more amenities. Yeah.
He just sold the third highest sell, per unit sell in Arizona as far as assisted livings go.
Okay.
He sold at $500K per unit.
Wow, that's huge.
He had 89 units, so that was $44.5 million exit.
Wow. Okay, that's incredible.
So that's
so your properties, are they just Arizona and California?
Just Arizona.
Only Arizona.
Only Arizona.
Got it. Is that where you're going to stay?
No, I think we're definitely open. One thing we're pivoting to is bringing third-party management companies for larger facilities. That's what we're realizing. If we're going to go ahead and scale, that's kind of the next step for us.
Yeah.
We have our processes and systems in place to where we feel comfortable taking something like that on now and moving up to that next kind of level with things.
Okay.
So as much as I love the 10 beds and as much as it's good for the everyday person to get into, it's, at some point you realize, okay, yeah, 1, 2, 3 of these, good cash flow. You can manage it pretty well yourself. But at that point, it's like, all right, you're comfortable. You're making, a good 15 to 20K a month profit on each if you're running it efficiently.
Yeah, okay, so let's drill down into that. So you're saying for your average assisted living, single family residence, 5-bedroom, 10-bed, you can make how much in cash flow a month? Are you a tech investor looking to shape the future of real estate? HomePie is the #1 for sale by owner marketplace, and we are revolutionizing the way homes are bought and sold. I'd love to hear from you. Just email invest@homepie.com and let's chat. Now back to the show.
So I'll help you with that real quick. So it's when you, especially out there in Arizona, if depending on the area you're in, a lot of your facilities are going to be anywhere from 8 bedrooms to 10 bedrooms. Okay. So these are all going to be private rooms for each resident. On average, you're going to be charging anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 per unit.
Okay.
So that's $50,000 to $60,000 gross. You're left pretty much 20% of that after all expenses, payroll, mortgage,
insurance,
debt
everything.
service, everything. 20% of that is what you're left with. So
okay.
Do the math, but typically it's anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000.
I'd imagine that the bigger the facility, the higher the net
Correct.
you would get on these
because you have economies of scale.
Correct. Yeah, and your insurance cost goes up incrementally more.
Yeah, so our 35 bed, right, is going to net what 3 10 beds.
Got it.
Essentially, which that one we're actually increasing the occupancy because they're not utilizing. That's another value add aspect to it. What you'll come to find out is a lot of homes aren't utilizing all the units properly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter of restructuring and okay, well, if you have the master bedroom and you got 2 people, that's what you ideally think you'd do. But there's people that are willing to pay for the whole master suite for themselves.
Got it.
And they're willing to pay a premium for that.
Yeah, I mean, look, you go to some of these high-end facilities, take the memory care out of it, and you're just looking at the assisted living. You could be $10,000, $12,000, $14,000 a month for a tiny little, dorm room, right? Then it goes up from there. You've got memory care.
Yep.
It could be, 50% more than that. It's extraordinary. So if you don't have the right insurance, obviously these are typically being paid for by some long-term care insurance. You don't have that, you're pretty much locked out at some of those facilities unless you're uber wealthy, right?
Exactly.
And you want to take...
And we have facilities that are funded through Medicaid. There's really great Medicaid programs, especially even out here. The Medi-Cal program that's for seniors. The assisted living waiver program, Cal-AIM. There's a couple good programs out here for seniors that aren't going to initially be able.
So if you wind up with you're starting one, it was previously approved, you acquire it, and now you need to fill it. How do you market to fill that with your residents?
So a big thing when it comes to these facilities is you got to build those local community relationships, and typically you're going to market with hospice liaisons.
Okay.
Right. They have your clientele, right?
They're like consultants that help.
They're pretty much their marketing person for their hospice company.
Yep.
And they're already servicing the residents that you're going to initially take care of in your facilities.
Yep.
So hospice liaisons, home health liaisons, they're a marketing person. You're going to have your skilled nursing facilities where they're only typically keeping on average anywhere from a week to 2 weeks because that's all insurance will cover in most skilled nursing facilities.
Sure.
So you're working with those discharge planners and those case managers at those skilled nursing facilities. Most people think they need to go to a hospital to go market, right? But don't go to a hospital because if you look at the continuum of care and how people from the hospital get discharged, most seniors are there in for a hip surgery.
Yep.
They need some type of rehab.
Yeah.
So they'll go to a skilled, they'll go to a skilled nursing facility. So that's where you really want to build strong relationships within the local skilled nursing facilities in your community. And then you're hosting a lot of stuff. You're sponsoring things, right? With your police departments, with your fire departments, because those people are going to these facilities and they're going to all these different hospitals and so on and so forth. So it's like they're going to know your brand. They're going to know your facility. They're going to want to work with you. Yeah. So it's just a matter of just putting yourself out there. A lot of these facilities, honestly, are horrible at marketing.
Yeah.
But you work with also placement agents. They're like real estate agents for seniors.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that, and
Yeah.
I would think that would be a big part of it because people when you have a parent that's of that age where now you're looking for that somebody seems to refer you to somebody who knows all the different facilities in the area. I went through it with my dad just 6-7 years ago, and we had like a consultant that was saying here's the good and the bad about this place. Here's the good and bad about that place.
Yeah. And then they don't charge you anything.
Nope.
It's like
They get a commission
a seller
on the
paying
other
the
end.
commission for the property.
That's right.
Right. So it's the facility paying that referral fee.
All right, let's change gears for a minute.
Let's do it.
And talk about how you met your partner Jared. And do you based on that, I want to hear about it. But do you recommend others look to have partners?
So we met through a mutual broker. I was looking to lease a place. He was syndicating and acquiring at the time. And we got connected. At that time, I had in my mind to franchise this model. And I pitched 2 groups. They all turned me down, probably just because I was young and like, what does this kid know? So I got turned down. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just see if he'd be interested in maybe doing a franchise. So we connected. And as we were talking about it more, we're like, okay, well, it's going to cost a lot to franchise. So why don't we just continue syndicating like you've been doing? Mm-hmm. And that's what we did. So that's how we met. It was very straightforward. It wasn't anything crazy. Again, it's all just about networking with the right brokers and the right people and getting connected. And I would say, and when we connected, we did have another partner, but he ended up stepping away after our first 2 deals. Just he couldn't do it any longer and whatever. I would say when it comes to partnerships, I've had actually quite a bit of partnerships. I've had another partner in another deal prior to me and Jarrett partnering up. We ended up like exiting. It was a small little Airbnb acquisition we did together. It was like a little JV. Okay. I didn't even know what that was at the time, but it was kind of how it was structured. And we exited that deal. We made some money together. And then I was like, all right, well, what's the next thing for me? And then when I got introduced to Jarrett, I was like, okay, let's go ahead and work together. And so him and I have, we complement each other in a lot of good ways. His strengths are, my weaknesses and vice versa. Yeah. And that's what you need in a partnership. It's just like, why would you partner up with someone that has the exact same skill set as you? There's no reason to have that. Just like in sports, You're not going to have just a whole team of point guards or 3-point shooters, right? So you're just going to have, you really need to, when you partner up with somebody, really like figure out, okay, what are you really good at doing and what am I really good at doing? And then ultimately understand and accept it's going to be a marriage without the intimacy.
Yep.
You're literally talking every day. You're literally like, you're going to beef it out sometimes. You're going to have some disagreements. You're going to have, you know what I mean? And you have to be okay with accepting that and having that same goal and vision and always being willing to grow with each other.
What's the biggest challenge you've had in the partnership?
Well, I'll tell you, Brad, we had a partnership that went really sour last year where we partnered up in 2022 with this individual, and they were supposed to be our operating partner on a couple acquisitions we made. And then 2024, he hit a point where a lot of his cash flow and capital and stuff was being tightened up, and he didn't have access to it for other stuff, to say the least. And we had these acquisitions we made with him where we had our equity, he had his equity. And I always say, Brad, draft up everything as your mortal enemies and operate as if you're best friends. Mm-hmm. And well, in this case, it served us well to make sure we had everything drafted and documented properly, where last year we went to go sell one of these acquisitions, and at closing, we didn't have it specified. We didn't have our attorney tell title, had to distribute the funds, and it was all distributed to him. And he walked away with $300,000.
Wow.
And that led to a lawsuit, obviously. During that lawsuit, we reached a settlement, but the settlement was contingent on some other stuff to happen. That stuff didn't happen. And then he committed mortgage fraud against one of our other acquisitions, where he signed off on our signatures on a refi. And
so he forged your signatures.
He forged our signatures.
It was a deal that closed?
It was a hard money finance. So he took a hard money loan against one of our assets.
And the lender didn't require you have a notarized document?
No.
That's very
interesting. And he took a DocuSign, or he copy and pasted our signatures from a DocuSign that we previously had for like our other deal.
Yeah.
And again, they didn't verify that or nothing.
Wow. Okay.
And so he committed mortgage fraud.
Yeah.
And that led to another lawsuit.
Wow.
It was stressful, to say the least.
I bet.
Did
you recover everything?
No.
And you had the attorney costs too.
We had our attorney costs. It was last year was really difficult, Brad. I always say, like, when it came to that partnership in specific, I gained 20 pounds.
Yeah, the stress.
Last year. The stress. Finances were super tight.
Yeah.
To the point where I was just like, I don't even know how I'm personally going to, like, cover my expenses.
Yeah.
I got 2 kids now. I got mortgage, all these other obligations. And this man just took money off my table.
How long have you been partners with Jared now?
Since 21.
Okay, so he was part of that as well?
Valley A.L.F partnered up with this individual.
Got it.
And we learned a lot. We learned a lot through that process. And we took that loss, that $300K loss against our taxes and stuff. What ultimately led was, so the second one that he took that hard money loan against, he ended up giving up his equity. So we took full ownership of that asset, which that asset has a ton of equity sitting in it. So eventually, depending on how we end up taking that asset and repositioning it, we'll recover more than enough. I mean, there's plenty of equity in that one, but it was stressful.
Yeah, I bet it was.
So I would say not every partnership is going to go the way, but I've definitely had better partnerships than bad ones.
Yeah, for sure. What would cause an assisted living facility to fail?
Ooh, that's such a good question. A lot of things. A lot of it is the operator. So I'll give you an example. The one we're closing on Friday. This seller had 3 facilities in Arizona. And the biggest one he was running it so inefficiently and was allowing so much stuff to go through, fall through the cracks, to where it led him to a massive lawsuit. And it was all because of lack of oversight on his end.
Was this the residents sued?
Yes, one of the residents' families sued.
Okay.
The reason being is because, not to get into it, but one resident hurt another resident, and that only happened because there was just negligence there.
Got it.
From staff and stuff.
Yeah.
And so...
Have you had anything like that happen?
Knock on wood, you got wood around? No, I have not. But that's stuff that happens when there's an absentee owner.
Yeah.
And they were very much absentee. And a lot of the stuff that was happening in the facility could have easily been addressed and could have easily been fixed, but they just were neglecting
given
it.
that, does that mean that you're doing regular inspections yourself on your properties?
Constantly. Mock surveys, we hire consultants, we do all
Because you're
kinds of stuff.
absentee, but you're still, you go in and you do spot checks.
Having consultants is the best thing ever. I know people don't like hearing, oh, you're paying all this money for mentors and consultants, etc. But when you have a third set of eyes to really keep you in check and keep you accountable.
It's like a property manager.
Yeah, but like they're there to tell you, hey, this isn't working.
Yeah.
And they're getting paid regardless. So they're very unbiased.
Yep.
They're not going to tell you, they don't care if you're running your facility the way you're running it, but they're going to tell you, hey, you got to fix these things or you're going to have issues with the state. Yep. Right? So they're very unbiased. And so that's why we're like, we're constantly keeping things in check there.
Got it. Is there a certain software you use to manage all these facilities?
Yeah. So what we do, each facility is going to, we still typically like to use Google Drive. It sounds so crazy, but that's just what we started with. And so like a lot of our systems and processes are built around that. But we do have charting systems where it's every resident, we could just log in right away. And that charting system has everything in there as far as all the compliance with HIPAA, all of our residents. It's broken out for each facility.
Does it do the billing out of that too?
The billing is separate. So the billing is all done separately as far as like the private pay. And then there's a separate platform that we use for the Medicaid. Each Medicaid provider will have like their own login, but we track it all like on Excel spreadsheets and everything. On
Excel. There's not a software that's built to run.
There isn't. There should be.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, especially on these like. Yes,
I mean, because like just regular property management, whether it's commercial or residential, there's lots of different software choices to help with, the inspections and logging in all the documents and then the increases in rent and all the things that you would have.
You'd be surprised, Brad. There's a lot of still paper.
Interesting.
Paper documentation. Third-party management is why we're pivoting towards that because they have their own software.
It's their own. It's
correct.
Proprietary. It's not something that you have access to.
Correct. Okay. They don't sell it or any of that. So that's why we're pivoting towards that. But, they take 5% off the gross typically.
Yep. That makes sense.
So it's got to pencil out.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to run a lot of different facilities, have a lot of different you got to have one system that when it's fragmented or using Google Drive, I imagine, or Excel, I imagine that's pretty work intensive.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah, and distracting. Yeah. Do you have bookkeepers that help you with that?
Yeah. Bookkeepers and all that, like all of our payroll, all that's done through like the same software. It's different software, right? Like our charting and all that is one software. And then we have our payroll software, which we don't worry about that. That's all just done in-house through our bookkeepers and stuff. But yeah, it's separate. I wish it was all one. Yeah. I mean, that'd be great.
It would be.
And I think eventually we build that out.
Yeah, you might have to.
I mean, that's definitely, but if we do plan on bringing third party in.
That'll solve a lot of that.
That'll solve a lot of that, yeah.
Got it.
As we scale up.
So I heard that you have 13 siblings?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So where do you rank in the hierarchy of ages and what?
So 14 total. I'm number 13 of 14.
You're 13 and 14.
I'm 13th of the 14.
Oh,
so there's 14
I was
total.
Say, how are you too? But that would have been an interesting explanation. I was looking forward to that one. That would have gone viral.
Goes through the door. I have a head just pop up.
So you're 13.
So I'm 13th out of the 14.
Yeah. All right, you got it. Okay, so you're not the absolute youngest, but how do you think that drove you to being this young entrepreneur who's now extremely successful and driven in this space?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, coming from a big family like that, most people ask like, how was that growing up?
Yeah.
It's not what you would think. But I would say what it allowed was a lot of independency and a lot of like doing a lot of the thinking on your own.
Yeah.
A lot of taking care of stuff that otherwise, my parents weren't there to like guide me through every step of life.
Right.
They didn't know I was in college until I was like already 2 years in.
Yeah.
Like there's just, they just had so many other people to take care of and grandkids and you know what I mean? And so what that's allowed me to do.
Do you have nieces and nephews that are older than you?
No, but my youngest brother, I do have a nephew that's older than him.
Okay.
So my oldest sister had her oldest before my mom had my youngest brother.
Yeah.
So he was already an uncle before he was born, which is crazy. I'm a great uncle already. So I have nephews and nieces that are married with their own kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so I have
amazing.
great nieces and nephews, which is kind of a mind trip.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say it really helped my personality, I guess. Like I was just very independent from a very early age. I knew my dad always said, you want something, go get it.
Yeah.
I heard no a lot growing up. I want a new pair of shoes. Nope, we don't have the money for it. Or no, go get your brother's shoes. Or hey, use his t-shirt.
That probably all helped you.
It did. I don't complain about it. My upbringing was different, but it helped me in a lot of ways now, where it's just like I don't need to depend on people to try to take care of anything.
For the average person, that's pretty hard to kind of understand the dynamic of having 14 siblings or 13 siblings. You're the 14th or 13th of 14. When you've got just a couple, the first one gets all the attention. They get the binky fell out. Now you got to, make it clean and, don't give it right back to them. Put it in the dishwasher, whatever. Then the second one, you're like, oh, wipe it off, put it back in their mouth. Third one, you're like,
it's a half binky.
Put it right.
It's
By the time you get to the 13th, who the hell cares?
Yep.
You could have fallen dog shit. You're still going to get
exactly.
it. So, I would imagine you were pretty independent.
This is going to blow your mind. So I have, how many nephews and nieces do I have now? I've lost track. I think 90.
Wow.
I have a brother that's got 17 kids.
Do you have a big family reunion every year?
No, I think the biggest family reunion is when my dad passed away. I know that sounds really crazy. It's a lot of people. I mean, you got to think it's hard to even get everybody in one picture.
Yep.
I mean, it's crazy to think about. People are like, how are the holidays? I'm like, look, every family just does their own thing at this point. It's very difficult because, like I said, my siblings got 17, have another sibling that's got like 10. They all got their own kind of world going on.
Anybody else live in Arizona?
No, it's just me. Yeah, they all live in Missouri.
All right.
But they're very like blue collar, truckers. They all have their own trucking company that they just drive solo.
Anybody stay on the farm and help work that?
My parents sold that in 2017, I want to say. It was right before I moved out to Arizona. Right after they sold it. They had it for like a few years. I definitely cut my teeth in the farm too.
You sure did. I bet.
And so it was cool. I mean, I can't say like it's funny looking back because I'm obviously on the younger side. So seeing all my older siblings, I've learned a lot from them, how they've raised their families, how their kids have turned out, right? My kids are still very young, 3 and 2. And seeing how they have grown their kids and like the way they've turned out, and I get to learn a lot. And that's the benefit of having such a big family, especially if you're one of the younger ones. It's like learn from all their mistakes.
Their
you don't
blueprint.
need to go. You don't need to go make all those mistakes. So
I love it.
It's been cool.
That's true. All right, I got another last question for you. So, what obstacles do you see in the assisted living space for the future?
You know what? I actually think it's really ripe right now, more than anything. I was just watching a video with one of the biggest CEOs in the senior industry, senior care industry. Right now, we're 156,000 units, and I'm talking like not just bed units. I'm talking about just facilities in general. Short of the demand that's coming. Their company specifically is building 4,000 units over the next 3 years for the demand that's coming with the baby boomers.
Mm-hmm.
What I do see coming as an obstacle, probably just some more regulation in regards to certain cities being like, okay, we can't allow this many homes, or, they're going to tighten that more. Or we can't allow for 10-bed licensed facilities. Like California is 6 beds, right? And so I could see a lot more of that happening and becoming more of an obstacle, and potentially even more like requirements as far as what is going to be out of a property, right? Like most properties, they can have a tub in the bathroom, and it's not supposed to be. It doesn't need to be ADA compliant, right? So I could see zoning cracking down more.
Okay.
We're already kind of seeing it in Arizona. I mean, they're saying, okay, you can't have directed level care, right? There's 3 levels. You got your supervisory, personal, and directed, right? Supervised is like independent living. They can do a lot of the stuff on their own. Personal is still like assisted living, where they're like somewhat independent but need some assistance with activities of daily living. But then your directed is like your bed bound, wheelchair bound, those types of residents.
Yeah.
Whereas like certain city jurisdictions, they're saying, all right, you can only have supervisory level of care or independent living, no more all 3 levels of care.
Got
right.
it.
So you're starting to see stuff like that starting to pop up.
But your feeling is the need is growing, and there's not enough out there, and so the opportunity is big.
It's massive. And one thing I've also noticed, which we know, is a lot of the sellers now are operators who have been in the industry for 20 plus years, and now they're ready to retire.
Yeah. So there's other opportunities for acquisition.
We're seeing tired operators.
Yeah.
Right. And that's another opportunity that's happening.
Sure.
It's happening across multiple industries, including this one.
With you having 7,000 students in your Facebook group or members, call them students, how are you helping consult them in states that you don't operate in?
So the Facebook group is free. So people join that all day long.
Okay.
And there'll be plenty of people that are operators in there from other states. So people drop questions. Hey, I'm in Georgia.
What is the
Georgia?
Facebook group for somebody who wants to join?
It's called the Assisted Living Investing Community.
Okay.
I've recently pivoted because I started like a paid community. And so that's where I'm actually helping a lot of members one-on-one. I only launched that about a month ago.
Okay.
And so they're getting access to me, all my resources, everybody that I work with. I help them source off-market deals, seller financing deals, things like that.
And this is outside of Arizona as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'll help them through a lot of that, and then I'll put them in touch with all my resources and contacts in like Texas, Florida, other states like that.
That's super helpful.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, look, I tell you that it is an area that's getting a lot more attention, the assisted living. People are pivoting out of STRs and trying to think of other ways to maybe use their properties. In areas where maybe, the regulations are coming down on short-term rentals and things of that nature. And so kudos for you for finding a niche that's growing.
Yeah.
If somebody wants your help, wants to join maybe your community, your paid community, or just reach out to you, how would they reach you?
Yeah, so they can go to the YouTube channel, but I do have Legion Assisted Living Academy at gmail.com is like the email. And then I also have the academy for that, where it's just, gives you a really good starting point of what to expect when you get into it, or what, you would need to do when you start your first facility. So kind of like an A to Z, high level, gives you all the information you need to help you make a decision. Because I'll be honest, there's a lot of people that shouldn't be in this industry, right? And so what that helps you with is like, do I really want to take this on and commit, or do I not? Because you could go the route of just purchasing, like if you're a real estate investor, just purchase something and lease it out to an operator on a 5 to 10 year lease.
Or become a limited partner in
a syndication, like what I do.
Like what you do.
Yeah, and still take advantage of this industry and the wave that's coming.
And what's the YouTube channel name?
Just my name, Serg,
Okay.
SERG, and then Lupescu, yeah.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. All
Very
right.
straightforward.
Well, we'll put it in the notes down below the post.
No, I appreciate it.
Well, awesome, man. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I taught you something, man.
I learned a lot. Mike, did you learn a lot? Yeah, there was a lot here. So this is good for anybody that's interested in this space.
Yep.
They're going to tune in and get some really good information.
We're going to have to run this back another year from now and see where things sit.
That sounds perfect.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Look, if we brought you value today, if you like what you heard, if you learned something, and you believe that we brought you good value, like, subscribe, share. That all helps us grow and keep putting out these great guests that we have aboard. And so we'll see you next time with our next wonderful guest on The Blueprint.